Hello, you beautiful people, and welcome to another video in which I am going to be talking about practicing. We've all been there, haven't we? We've turned up to our weekly game and we've knocked the stuffing out of our opponent or had the stuffing knocked out of us, and we've left and maybe thought, did I really learn anything? Well, in this video, I'm going to be talking about how to practice in order to improve. So, I guess that means this video will make you a better 40k player. Better dive in. Okay, so number one, you need to be on the same page as your opponent. It's really, really important that you both know what you're trying to get out of this game. Now, if you are trying to prepare for an event, and hey, you just want to take your tournament list into your friend and see how it goes and just play the game like you were playing a tournament game, however that may be, then great. No issue there. That's not what the focus of this video is going to be, but that's equally valid. But you just need to make sure you're on the same page. If one of you is hoping for that collaborative game where you can kind of really discuss ideas and work together, and the other one just wants to beat the other one up, then actually you're both going to feel shortchanged there. You're actually really, realistically, you're not going to get out what you want out of it. So just make sure you have that conversation. How collaborative do you want to be? How much do you want to work together here? And I'll refer to take backs later, but you do want to make sure you're both on the same page in terms of what take backs you're going to be doing and that sort of thing too. So number two, discuss your options with your opponent. We're going to assume that you've decided you want a collaborative game here, and that's the point of this video, right? So talking aloud helps. Okay, thinking it in your head, talking out loud, you will be able to process your decision making far better if you discuss your options with your opponent. You know, just talking them through, well, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this, making it clear. It also helps you to work out your game plan at kind of the start of your turn and that sort of thing. And you know what? Just that sort of discussion does encourage your opponent to be collaborative as well. It just helps to break the ice a bit with that sort of thing. So definitely try and discuss your options out loud with your opponent in practice. And because you're doing that, your opponent's going to do that. It's going to help you to understand your opponent's game plan. And we can go one step further than that. We can actually ask them, like, what are you worried about? What are you concerned about? What's your plan of action at the moment? We have to think about it not as much as we're trying to beat each other, but we have to think of it as we're trying to understand this matchup. We're trying to learn this game so that when I play in a tournament and I come against my opponent, I know what they're trying to achieve, what their macro game plan is. For example, I had a coaching game recently. I was Blood Angels, and my opponent kind of like set out this turn two move block. And we kind of discussed the point that, well, actually, my Dante brick is still in deep strike and isn't going to rapid ingress until your turn two, and then I'm going to be looking to push with everything turn three. So this move block isn't actually necessary, and you're just giving me a resource when actually it could maybe be positioned elsewhere. So it's those sorts of things that you might make that assumption, and in a tournament, we're making lots of assumptions. But in a game situation, a practice game situation, we can discuss that with our opponent, and it will help our thought processes down the line. We hopefully they know their game plan and their army better than we do. Usually that's the case. So use every opportunity to get into your opponent's kind of like psyche and work out what they would want to be doing, because that will help aid your decision making further on down the line. So you do need to think about how you're going to be approaching takebacks, and just be consistent. There's no right or wrong here, right? There are pros and cons to each. We've probably all said or heard the phrase, oh, I won't learn otherwise. Quite often I'll be in an event and I'll say, oh, would you like to take that back? Oh, no, I won't learn otherwise. And hey, if that's how you want to be and you don't want to have those take backs, because let's say you move a unit out and fire and fade them and then you forget the fire and fade, and you can either go, oh man, obviously I was trying to fire and fade those, and your opponent will be like, well, yeah, we know that's the game plan. You move back because we're trying to work that out. Cool. Maybe you're the sort of person that needs to go, actually, no, I need you to kill that unit now so that I'm punished, so that I remember next time not to fire and fade my unit. Whatever works for you. Okay, you just need to have that discussion and be okay with it. Right, this is just a practice game. Whatever it is, live with it. You don't need to play the whole game. I'm sure we've all had games where after turn 2, maybe turn 3, it's very clear that the game is done. So there are choices here, right? Let's say you're practicing for a Teams event. Maybe you can now use this as an opportunity to try and grind out as many points as you can. Okay, that is in itself something to practice. If you are not a Teams player and you're just playing with your friends or whatever, why are you carrying on playing? What does that achieve? One of you feels great about beating the other one up, I guess, but realistically, you just try re-racking. Okay, oh, this game's clearly done. Should we just re-rack and take back and just try a different approach? Potentially try and play two or three turn games instead, right? That's actually can be really effective trying to practice the different openings. So just something to bear in mind. Don't carry on playing for the sake of it if actually it ends up with one person not learning anything, because then we're not having a good practice session. So these next 2 points are based around things that are happening in the game. You could try and create mini scenarios. So maybe you're well ahead, right? You're thinking maybe you should just re-rack. Well, how about what if suddenly the dice betray you? What happens if actually the things should kill to finish your opponent off don't suddenly die? Why don't we just play it out like that? You could try playing to your outs. Okay, so for example, you're well behind. Okay, and your only outs are if you make these 3 9-inch charges. If you make them, great, suddenly a game one. Or you know what? I think I probably need to pull off this 11-inch charge to make this a game. Well, rather than rolling it and failing it, why don't we see what happens if it does happen? Suddenly, this game's now going to change. It's going to be a lot closer. Your opponent's going to practice dealing with under pressure. So create these mini scenarios in game. See how you manage it. It will help make level the playing field. You know, like if your out is a 1 in 7, 1 in 8 chance of occurring, then hey, let's just make it happen and learn accordingly. Don't be afraid to manipulate the dice in this game in order to get the decision making and practice that you want out of it. In line with that, sometimes you might choose to ignore the crazy dice. Okay, if something absolutely ridiculous happens that just shuts the game down, and this is a practice game, maybe we shouldn't let that happen. For example, there could be an explosion. Let's say there's an explosion of something massive that ends up ripping out the heart of the one army. And the game's over. Like, cool, that happens in tournaments, absolutely. But if it is that moment where you're like, wow, now I'm screwed. What's the point? We just pretend it doesn't happen, and then you can just carry on playing the game. Obviously, if it's just a little thing, then fine, it is what it is, and maybe the game's still close, etc. But so we've all had games where something ridiculous has happened, kind of ended the game on the spot. So maybe we just say, "Oh, actually, that didn't happen," and kind of move on. That'll help us to get a more consistent outlook on the average game. Right. Now, this is one I say a lot to people, which is you've got to leave the ego at the door. I have been in this situation so many times. You start a game off with the best intentions. Yeah, we'll be collaborative. We'll discuss our ideas. Yet to turn 3, it's crunch time. Suddenly, there's a bit less discussion in the game going on. A bit more of a, oh, well, I'm going to do this then kind of thing going on. And suddenly, you're thinking about it as in, I will try to win this game. Okay? In order for us to be as collaborative as we can and try and have as useful a practice session as you can, if that's what we've stated, our intent is at the beginning of the game, you need to look at that in a completely different way. Think of it as rock, paper, scissors, remove yourself from the situation. You're just trying to understand how this, if this beats this, it's not me beating my opponent, my friend, and what my friend beating me. We're trying to understand this matchup objectively. Okay, I need to know how Blood Angels play into Death Guard. Right, we're trying to understand this matchup from both angles. Cool. We're working together. We're making our decisions together. Awesome. Take you and your opponent out of it as personalities. Leave the ego at the door. Winning and losing in practice makes no difference. Okay, to you as a person, treat it as learning, growth mindset. There are lots of other ways you can go about practicing. I'm a big believer in paired practice, 2v2s. Having played in a couple of pairs or doubles tournament, like you play so much better because you're bouncing ideas off each other. Why not do this in a practice game? Okay, use that as an opportunity to really try and just help each other out, discuss ideas, see how that goes. You can also try only playing movement. Okay, so no shooting, no combat. You're only allowed to move pieces around the board. I wouldn't say this is how you should play a full game, but I would say it's something to try maybe as a practice exercise. No, let's just spend for an hour. Let's just try doing only the movement phase. See what happens. Okay, you might learn a lot about screening, move blocking, all that sort of thing. Right. So maybe give that a go. And as I mentioned earlier, another thing you can deliberately set out is rather than say, oh, we've got 5 hours, let's play a game, why don't we try and play 2 games of 2 or 3 turns each? And then we can try different deployments, we on different maps if we want. We can kind of like be really aggressive in one game and defensive in the other, see what happens if one player plays really push, etc. Just try those different things, give them a go. Don't just settle into your standard habits. And then finally, reflection. Reflection is so important. I mean, I'm a teacher, right? And my teacher training year was just basically having reflect hammered into me. This is your chance to learn. Number one, we've all been there, haven't we? Blame the dice. We've all done it. And you know what? Sometimes it is just the dice. Very rarely is it only the dice, though, because there were other decisions that were made up in the lead up to it. Okay, so first things first, you have to try and ignore the dice. Next, you try and reflect together, get your opponent's feedback, win or lose, get your opponent's feedback on things you could have done differently, and cover the macro and micro. So it could be your overall game plan, that's the macro. And it could be actually if you'd managed that particular charge sequence in a different way, you could have achieved this. That would be the micro. And try and discuss both from both sides just to try and help each other out, really. So, yeah, reflect. I mean, hey, on our coaching Discord, we have templates where people reflect on their games. Just talking it out loud, writing it down, whatever, have some sort of diary. It will really help you look at your scores. Oh, actually, notice a trend. I keep losing on when I lose. It's because I lost on primary. Right. Well, that's something I need to focus on. Set yourself a target for the next game. I'm going to make sure I never lose my natural expansion objective. Even if I get tabled, I'm always going to score my natural expansion objective. Try that out. Right. Like just try and reflect on your weaknesses as a player. So there you are, 10 tips on how to practice better and therefore become a better player. If you've enjoyed this sort of content, please do give it a like. Comment, leave your thoughts and ideas on how you like to practice. If you're not a subscriber, which is about half of you watching this video, then please do subscribe. We have a thriving Discord, over 800 people in our Discord, so come in, get involved, content discussion about all the different armies and factions and everything. Loads of painting competitions. We've got King of the Ping coming up, like a league, all that sort of stuff. We've got membership options. We have coaching options. All kind of access can be accessed through our Discord. So come in and get involved. We obviously have Facebook. We have Instagram. We have all the good stuff as well. 6++ Gaming, easy to find. And then also check out our sponsors. We've got Gambit Gaming, who make high quality clothing. Got Prestige Wargaming, great shop up in Barnsley. And then we're also sponsored by East Air Conditioning. So it's pretty warm at the moment. So why not check out East Aircon and have a much more comfortable time at home. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. It's been a pleasure. Hopefully you found it useful. I'll see you again very soon. Take care.